watching an MLGA Network live broadcast. The only people for me are the mad ones.
The world is filled with the boring and the barely conscious.
The misery loves company.
But we don't have to live this way.
Jessica and I are here to talk to those the system rejects, to radicals and thought criminals.
The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but push the boundaries of acceptable discourse.
Those who stare reality in the face and dare it to be different.
History isn't made by the timid, and fun is not had by the perpetually afraid.
We are the mad ones.
So let's get to it.
Welcome to the Mad Ones. I don't care if you call it a multi-level marketing. It's a freaking scam, and I'm not at all interested in joining your little cult, okay? Host Cam Harless. And with me, as always, is your, oh no thanks, I would prefer lemon balm over your dumb scam hostess, Miss Jessica Green.
How do you do? I'm well, thank you for asking. I've had a good deal of Lorenzotti, a delicious Italian roast coffee, so I'm pretty pepped up.
Well, that's good. I've had not that, but some Knob Creek bourbon, so I'm in a good headspace.
Yeah.
But we should probably bring in our guests because that's who people come for. They don't come for us. They don't come for me. It's not what they're here for. But before we bring him in, we want to say a very special thank you to those who make this show possible. So check out Zen Pro Audio, Burgett Dev Services, Lorenzotti Coffee, as Jessica mentioned. Use the promo code The Mad Ones. And don't forget to watch OPSEC Drip, the best 60-second podcast that's out there, period. Filmed from John McAfee's butt phone. Can't get better than that. Joining us tonight is one of our favorite returning guests, a personal friend and a friend of the show, a musician, a dirty leftoid, a podcast host, a father, a colonizer, a punk, and the perfect mixture of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. And that's both terrifying and exhilarating. Mr. Nick Pecone of Peace Freaks fame. How you doing, man?
Well, I'll tell you how I'm doing. I'm never going to say that people don't come for me because I tend to do my work properly, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure that happens. You can ask my wife. I would even say if you really wanted to, you could probably call some of my former lovers up and ask them, and they'd probably agree for what they can remember.
Oh, you nice. Stop it.
But
we talked about coming after the show, Nick.
Well, I mean, you guys started talking about people not coming for you at the beginning of the show, so I just felt like I had to set myself apart. I'm never owning that, you know. You're right, they do come for me.
Well, welcome and thank you for bringing the sexual tension. I love it.
It's the best thing in the world. It's my favorite thing in the world.
We usually start out very lowbrow, and then as the show moves on, we get closer and closer to the Lord. So we do okay.
That must be every episode that I'm not on. Like yeah. I personally like to come on and just start pushing the envelope and see where they'll let me take it right from the beginning. I'm always excited when you get Monica Perez on an episode like you did this week. She's always fun to push the envelope with too. You never know where she can take it, and she can hang.
That's what I love about Monica.
The phrase "cock aperture" came up in the last episode, and that may be my favorite thing I've ever heard.
I did after that episode go and check out Sheath Underwear, and they have small, medium, large sizes, but the cock aperture on them is the same for every pair. Okay. It does not change. So I looked into that. Circumference is an issue here that I think
talk about girth.
The Sheath people need to maybe get on top of.
Well, the guy was a military guy, right? Maybe he just assumes that all the people he knows are hung.
Standard issue junk. Like
yeah, could be that. I dated a girl who was in the military, and
did she have a standard issue penis?
No, that would have been pretty cool, actually.
Like, give it to you when you sign up.
No, but I got the impression that everybody that she had slept with in the military had like larger than standard issue penises. So I just kind of assume that all dudes that go get shot at have giant dicks.
Wow. So ladies, there you go. Little tip.
She also tended to date men who were like over 6.5 feet tall, though. So there's also that.
Oh, I wonder if there's a scientific correlation that could somehow be measured.
I don't know. I have giant feet, though. So you know what they say.
You know what they say.
Tiny penises.
Great.
Tiny penises. Okay, here's the thing I wanted to ask you about. Have you
I do
ever
like
had
moms?
Who doesn't?
Well, I'm just commenting to Paul here. I do like moms. It's always been my MO. High school, I was the guy trying to bang my friends' moms, and once I was an adult, I tried to bang as many moms as I could. So
I just did the one and then made her a mom 5 more times.
Well, and I did eventually make a mom, so it became much easier to find them. So there's
Makes
that.
sense. Let me ask you this. I was taking a shower today, and I was washing my legs because I'm one of the few white people who apparently washes his legs. And there's a missing patch of hair that I cannot account for. It looks like it's been shaved. And I don't know why. I have no reason to know why or no context for this. Has this ever happened to you?
I tend to get scars. I don't know where they came from. I can't say I've ever had places get shaved. I don't know where they came from. I will routinely show up from work, like bleeding places that I don't remember happening, but not scarring or not shaving.
Not shaved areas.
I need a little more information here. How high on the leg is the shaved spot?
See can you see it? Right here.
Oh no, I can account for that.
There's
calf, bro.
It's just
the like cat hair. Rubbing on him.
I don't have a cat. So I don't know what this is, but I have missing hair and I don't like it. But
you're a Florida man, so you're not wearing socks.
Oh, I'm wearing socks because I found when I was young. I don't wear sandals.
I'm sorry.
I was a skateboarder. I wear shoes that you can skate in or Converses, and that's it.
Okay.
Or boots.
And socks?
Always.
Up to your thigh socks?
No, not up to my thighs. Calf? I mean, I'm not a woman. So
okay.
It'd be fun if he did wear thigh highs. That would be hilarious.
That would be fun. Yeah. I meant calf height. Where like a basic cruise sock would come up to. No, I'm not suggesting anything strange.
Nothing up there. It's no show socks are my jam.
Okay. So, all right. So it's not socks.
I have no idea. But I thought it was interesting enough to ask. Seriously, has anyone ever had aliens shave them in the middle of the night? Because that's the only explanation I have right now.
I mean, and now it's not starting to sound fun anyways.
They shave your balls.
What happens after the shaving?
My son, my 6-year-old, tonight I was like, man, I was telling my wife I found this patch of skin that's missing all hair. And I was like, Ezra, do you know anything about this? And he was like, well, yeah, I shaved it in your sleep. And I know he's not telling the truth because he's trying to screw with me, but I'm so proud of him in that moment for being like, oh yeah, you were asleep and I shaved your leg. I know he didn't.
The real wonder of this is that his kid is not lying. He just has a weird fucking kid that does shave him in his sleep. And I'm really excited for that. The things this kid's going to have to explain as an adult.
Well, it would just be me again, really, because of my NyQuil prank on my dad and all that shit.
So the search, why is there a patch of hair missing on my leg, is the third thing that comes up on Google when you type, why is there a patch of, and hair missing on my leg was the third one. So there's a reason.
Is it the FBI?
No, it's hereditary. It's something about the follicles fail in patches, just like they do on the top of your head. They will also do it on your leg. Yeah.
Does that mean it's going to spread and we're going to have a hairless Cam someday?
I would really hope that my dad was bald, but I'm really hoping this stays to the legs. Well, because I don't want to lose this hair.
Baldness
so
follows
smooth,
mom.
Yeah.
So is
all of this? Your hair follows your mother's DNA. Is that what you mean?
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom's not bald, so I think we're good. Neither is my grandfather.
Okay. All right. But apparently,
his thin hair like me. I have his hair essentially, but like fine rather than thin. But yeah, I think I'm good.
Well, apparently it's natural.
My legs are not safe.
Yeah. No.
The fuck.
I mean, there are worse places to have a bald patch, right? So,
well, let's
so
look
bad.
at this in like we'll say like a genetic standpoint. Maybe something in your like family history needed you to be slightly more aerodynamic. And
At
so
32,
it's the
they
beginning.
just waited.
It's the beginning of like a thing that over generations is going to make you a hairless people.
Well, I mean, the name would
you can
be
run
right.
away better. I don't know.
What was that book? Galapagos, about people who get stuck on the Galapagos Island and then like thousands of years in the future, they're like smooth, hairless dolphin people. Has anybody else read this book?
No, but Paul just said my 14-year-old has decided to use scissors to trim himself. I don't know which pair of scissors he uses.
And that's the way the kid likes it.
If you look in the corner, there will be something stuck in there, and that'll probably be a good clue for you, because he's not cleaning them out.
I saw a video the other day of a barber, and he had his hands, and he was showing his hands, and he was squeezing like a pimple in between his fingers. But it wasn't pus or anything like that that you'd expect to see. It was hair. And people's hair from him cutting their hair would get caught in bunches in between his fingers. And he was like pulling it out. And I was like, this may be the most, well, not even ingrown, like poked in. It's like, hand poked tattoos, but with other people's hair. Like it's,
That's
we talk about important things.
It makes me want to weep. Like, I feel bad about that. Like, this is the part of barbers that no one shows you.
Well, I like the part where it's Dr. Barbers.
Dr. Barbers.
Dr. Barbers.
Did you guys never watch The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack?
No. Vonnegut. Thank you, Whip. I appreciate you.
It is one of my favorite TV shows from a number of years ago. It stars Brian Doyle Murray as a guy called Captain Knuckles, and he's got like a first mate called Flapjack. But like it takes place, like the time when you would have had pirates and stuff around. Which, if you know anything, but historically, your doctor and your barber tended to be the same person.
Same guy,
right?
Oh wow.
Well, they go like as creepy sadist as you possibly can with this character, and like there's nothing he can do, like he does, without seeming menacing, like really dangerously menacing. It's great.
Like that gives me like there's another like barber surgeon, but he's the murderer. There's a musical. I can't remember the title of anything tonight.
Sweeney Todd.
Thank you. Yes. That reminds me of that as well, which is where I found out that barbers used to also be like walk-in surgeons.
I wouldn't trust my barber for that. But then again, my barber is at this point.
Well, he was the guy who was going to have the sharpest tools around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like and back in like the 1800s, that meant something. You'd go to if you needed something removed, you're going to go to the guy that's going to do it the cleanest. I guess.
I watched Master and Commander last night. That's Russell Crowe ship of the line movie, and a kid gets his arm pretty much blown off, and they have to cut it off. And it takes this doctor like 2 seconds to cut the arm off. And I'm like, no way. They would have had to like saw. I saw 172 hours. It takes a long time to cut an arm off. And I went on this whole long deep dive about amputation. And if you want to have nightmares, learn about how they did amputation back in the 1800s. But to their credit, surgeons were incredibly fast at it, and they could do it in a matter of seconds.
Did they do it like butchers?
Well, I mean, I don't imagine that they like just hacked at it the way a butcher would.
No, I meant like, like when you've ever, I don't know if you butcher much meat, but when I've done it, it's finding the joint, it's cutting around. Yes. It's a quick process, but you
cut around.
You're not sawing through things. You're cutting at a certain point.
You are sawing through the bone, but a skilled surgeon could do it in a matter of seconds. And they did have painkillers they could give you, some facsimile of painkillers, but yeah, it is the same as you would do all the way around with the sharp knife with the flesh, and then you would saw the bone. But they could do it really fast, and so I learned that, and I was really impressed. But yeah, thank goodness for modern medicine. You're gonna have to knock me out to do something like that to me for a while.
Oh yeah,
I should hope so.
You know, Nick, you're one of the few people that I ask for criticism or feedback for this show.
Okay.
I haven't done it in a minute, but let's do it live.
Okay.
Give us feedback.
All right.
Make us uncomfortable.
Sure.
Well, I listen to your show, and I don't listen to that many shows anymore. So that's the first amount of criticism you get. I honestly, I don't really have much to go. I love the show. You guys do well at it. You have good guests.
Thank you.
It's tough to have people on that are,
Economists.
have to follow me and like maintain being like normal people and having real things to say. But you managed to make that possible, which is amazing to me.
Thank
Do you guys remember 2 episodes we talked to that fucking weird ass Nick guy, and here we are talking to a respectable academic person? Do you remember that? These are in the same stream. What kind of show are we making here?
There's a lot of variety.
What's funny though is like Monica, like I have plans to talk about like serious stuff, and I don't think we stuck on anything serious for more than like 20 seconds in that episode. It was just like, well, hell, we're having fun with this one, and I love that. I don't know if the audience loves it as much as I do, but I love it. I think that's
I'm waiting on the liquor episode.
Oh, I'm gonna have a liquor episode.
I'm excited for you guys to get a deep dive onto some booze.
Oh, I'm going to. I'm trying to find the right person for that. Because I fucking love booze, dude.
I used to love it a lot more before I got fat. And then it got too expensive to drink it to the point of where you need to drink it. So I just kind of stopped drinking. Like, when it's too expensive to get drunk, what's the point?
I am 4 feet 11 inches tall, and really 2 beers will put me past where I should be. And so, like, that's always one benefit of being really small, is that you're a cheap date.
I used to be back when I was a cross country runner and had that cross country runner metabolism, but now not so much. I'm not dropping a couple $100 at the bar, I'm probably not getting tipsy, and it just ain't worth it.
Yeah,
I'll stay sober.
Well, there are other things to enjoy in life besides alcohol. Anyway,
and don't eat them before shows because then you can't think.
Well, so, and this is something. How do you find drugs as an adult? Because I never did it when I was a kid. I never did it as a kid, so I don't have any of those skills. Mm-hmm. And I probably would look like actively seek it out now, but like,
real talk, Liberty Twitter.
Liberty Twitter.
If you find the right level of person who the right level of agorist, you can get some stuff sent to you in the mail.
Nice.
So I mean, I don't know how cool it is to talk about this or not, but you can order weed from California and have it mailed to you. You go on a little website, you type in, I can't sleep, I have gastroparesis, whatever. They check your ID to make sure.
Did that.
Yeah, and then they mail you weed. And I don't live in a state where it's legal, and I don't get this done. But I have friends who do, and it has not been a problem from them. They get a delivery every 2 weeks, and so if you want to try it, you probably could just order it through the mail. I mean, it's getting so prolific, and it's legal in how many 11 states now? So
I think it's definitely legal for medical use in my state now.
So you have sleeping problems, right? I mean, you everybody does.
Do I have sleeping problems?
Right. Like, that's the condition of the modern American, with all these screens in our faces and all that stuff. So, I mean, you legitimately have a reason to get it. Go get your weed, dude.
Just an acid drop guy.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you, guy.
Question.
Okay.
So we're asking this of interested parties who come on the show, but we're going to be setting up the list for the 100 Nights of Horror for this year. And you, being someone who actually was in the competition club, whatever, last year, you get to choose a movie.
Oh, you are.
I'm holding out for Ernest Scared Stupid again. Like, it's going to be on the list. I'm telling you.
Well, you can actually get Ernest Scared Stupid still, which is awesome. unlike Ernest Goes to Camp, which upsets me dearly.
I think we talked about that last time.
I think that may have been, but yeah, it was Me Too'd out of existence.
Damn.
I happen to have a copy of it on DVD, so like no problems there. But Ernest Scared Stupid is a really good movie, like far better than I think it deserves credit to be, frankly.
I'm telling you, like I don't. That was the thing, is like when I heard about the thing last year. I don't know what to call it. It's not really a competition. What is it?
It's just a challenge.
Okay, it's a challenge. Yeah,
There's
it's a personal challenge. So like if you to do it, you're only cheating yourself. Like you know, so there's nobody to beat.
But I tried so hard to get Ernest Scared Stupid on the list last year, because I think that, you know, you need, and I was right. Let me just say I was right, because I watched so many bad movies. Ernest Scared Stupid would have been a real good hump. You know, you get over the hump of 54 movies, you know?
Well, here is my recommendation to anyone trying it this year. Just ignore the list. Like, honestly, go out, pick 100 horror movies that you'd like to watch, and start like making your own list. I followed along for as much as I could. Like, if there was stuff that I wanted to see that was on the list, I'd try to watch it with them. Like, one of the things that I had to do is because finances were a little tight at that point in time, so I'm having to like negotiate which streaming company I'm going to pay for at any given time. And so like I'd like have to lump the stuff that was on Hulu together, and then I had to lump the stuff that was on Netflix or Chiller together, so I could like use the 1 month free of stars to get the stuff.
Well, here's the secret. This year I have you covered. So anything on that list, I will give you access to, like I did Jessica last year.
So let me give kind of a breakdown on how that works, because I do put out a list every year of 100 horror movies, but there are no rules to the challenge. So you don't have to use my list. You can definitely use your own list. You can group them together. You can substitute some out. I even, for maybe the first couple of weeks while I'm still posting all the movie information, I include alternate movies, just like completely free alternate movies that are in YouTube. So if you run into a situation like, oh, damn, I don't have the scratch to rent a movie tonight or whatever it is, just go to YouTube and type in horror movies, especially horror movies 1970s. And then you'll like get a nice free selection that you can meet with the challenge.
Well, and for me, like one of the things that like I would do, because I am a big horror movie fan myself, I have like the entire Nightmare on Elm Street collection that I want to watch.
Yeah.
And I happen to own. I have the entire Puppet Master collection that I'd watch on my own. And I can kill, like, one of my goals this year is to actually sit down and watch the entire Nightmare on Elm Street collection straight through as part of the thing. And that wipes out a few of the movies on there, to be honest.
Right.
Which I'm not as big a fan of some of the horror comedy stuff. Like I will be sacrilege here and say I'm not a big Army of Darkness fan.
I'm not.
Like I respect what the movie is and what it represents, but that's definitely not my kind of horror. Like I think probably my favorite, and this is going to be a cheesy horror movie, and it's a remake of a horror movie, but it's one of my favorites. I absolutely love the Matthew Lillard, Tony Shalhoub version of 13 Ghosts from like 2003, which I realize is not a great movie, but I love body horror. And like they do such a really good job at really making those ghosts scary as fuck.
How many movies did you get through till you stopped?
Oh God. I think I got through at least 3 weeks before I started kind of missing days.
Yeah.
The problem that you have is that like you run into periods of life that just get really busy. Yeah. And so it's sometimes like difficult. And then once you're off the path, it's real hard to kind of get back on. Or what I'll find will happen is you'll watch one that you really wanted to see, and then it'll put like a really bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, I don't know if I can watch another right now.
Right. I think of last year's movies, the one that I liked the most, having not seen it before, was The Ritual.
Oh,
that was really good.
Was so good. Yes. You got to put it back on the list.
What was the name of the movie with the girls in the cave or whatever?
Oh shit. That movie scared the pants off of me.
That's the one like
Let me hold on. Let me look it up.
or something.
It's not The Cave. It was something else.
The Descent.
The Descent.
The
I watched The Ritual first.
Off.
And then I started watching that one, and I was like, this is a very similar idea, but The Ritual did it better. Yeah. And so I fell asleep in the middle of it.
Well, the movie like that I always come to out of that I really love is what do you call it? God, it's there. They like go on vacation in Mexico. Oh, The Ruins.
Haven't seen that one.
If you've never seen The Ruins, that is dope. Essentially, they just go and visit like a what do you call it? It'd be like a pyramid or like some kind of ruins down in Mexico while they're on vacation there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the few movies where you have like
tight
dangerous flora.
Okay.
Like a bad plants.
Yeah, and we'll just say it's a fun movie.
So, Little Shop of Horrors is another bad plant movie. Can
Which
we think
one?
of any Little Shop of Horrors?
I know, but which one?
Oh,
the Rick Moranis.
I would.
Are
The
you
Rick Moranis one.
aware that the Rick Moranis version is a musical remake of an actual horror movie from like the 1950s?
I am now. So.
And by the way, it's one of my favorite movies. Few things in this world are as amazing as what's his name playing a dentist. Man, it's that late in the day. I'm like, oh man. He's my favorite banjo player.
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin as a fucking dentist in that movie that makes it worthwhile.
Steve Martin is my favorite comedian.
He should be everybody's
of all time.
Really? Okay.
Love Steve Martin.
What's funny is like as good of a comedian as he is, him playing the straight man to John Candy is about the best film you can possibly ever make out of anything. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is probably the best movie ever made.
I have to agree with you. That movie has a really special place in my heart.
John Candy, love it. In that role, you're just like, oh my god, he's doing that speech about who he is and how I'm okay with me. Like that's where it's at.
So, you know what? People like me.
Well, and it's so rough, and you find out like he's a guy whose like wife passed away, and he's just kind of alone, and he's trying his best to get by. Like, it's good people.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna get a little verklempt on here.
So we haven't talked about the Lord yet, but I do want to ask you a question. Have you seen the video that came out, I think today, that pissed me off extremely thoroughly?
I was in the car all day, so probably not.
Okay, so in Rio de Janeiro, there is a statue that you may know called Christ the Redeemer.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Well, these people, the very the COVID people,
oh god,
the vaccine people, have decided that is the perfect that's the perfect image to push vaccines with. And I'm going to put the video up. But look at this shit. What's funny about this video is I saw atheists pissed off that they were doing it because they were like, this is too blasphemous for me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah.
Just Jesus with vaccine saves across his chest.
Oh, is he like wearing a clown suit too at the same time?
It looks like it. He looks like he has bozo buttons on his shirt.
Yeah, didn't it?
This made me cringe so bad the first time I saw it, and the second cringe is no less. Like, I'm cringing equally.
Look at this shit, man. Tell me this isn't a cult.
Well, I can't do that because that would be lying.
Ah!
They do the Nazi salute, of course.
Also a wave. Like, it's a Nazi salute and sports favorite pastime.
Well, aren't those two things connected anyways?
Are they?
But isn't this beautiful? Vaccina salva. Vaccines save on Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Fuck these people, man.
Terribly cringy. Ugh. I already saw that earlier, and I'm still like, no.
Well, here's the thing that frustrates me about it is that I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I never have been. Like, my kid has all hers. However, I am 100% against being forced to buy a product by a government.
Yes.
And I am 100% against not being able to be properly educated about a product.
Right.
Like, informed consent is important, and you will get none of that here. So these are the frustrations I have. All of my issues with vaccines that have always been related to the political place that they have.
The cronyism.
Well, the vaccine courts, things like that.
Yeah.
That's where my issues are. And this is kind of like they're trying to make it out like, oh, you're just a science nerd. Like, well, no, I mean, I value science. And when we have appropriate science on this, I'm all about seeing how that works, you know? In the meantime,
so Nick,
forcing healthy people to take something that hasn't been, properly, shown to do what it's supposed to do for something that doesn't really do much.
But they're vaccinating
Are you aware?
the control group.
What's that, Jess?
Are you guys aware that the meaning of anti-vaxxer has been changed to include anyone who opposes vaccine mandates or government mandates?
Yes,
so even though you may, support vaccines, which I certainly do, I have all of mine for the most part.
Congratulations, polio's gone.
Yeah, but at the same time, my opposition to forcing it on people who don't want it now puts me firmly in the anti-vaxxer category according to these ever-changing definitions. So I'm just owning it. Like, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't say anything bad about my horse.
Well, and it's like my kids, especially my youngest boy, had like bad reactions to vaccines. My Rhett, he came home from a vaccine and ended up with like 107-degree fever. And, there was a lot of stuff that happened. He was sick for days, wasn't sick before he went to the doctor. They said he looked completely normal and fine, written down. And then he had that. And we're just like, our kids may have some issues with this. So we're going to spread this out. We're not going to do everything by the book, because holy shit, that'll scare you. But saying, hey, they protect these people to the point of absurdity. The government does, and I don't really trust that. I've seen some bad shit happen.
Well, you don't
treat you like you're a monster.
Product into people while also having a no liability clause. I'm sorry,
right?
Which every single one of these does, and that's the issue.
Do you guys think with this sort of like ham-fisted mask mandate lifting for anyone who says they have a vaccine is kind of them admitting that they can't really get this through? And, they're not going to be able to force anybody to take it. So we're on the honor system. If you get it, you get it. Like, it kind of seems like they're sort of admitting that it's over. Like, we're done with it.
No. I think you're just seeing the first phases of what's going to come, personally.
Okay.
Oh. Well, he and then he disappeared.
Left. Didn't even leave us with a poop face.
What a jerk. I'm sure he'll be back in a second.
I really wanted to hear what he was going to say about that too.
There we go.
There you are.
You see what happens?
Yeah, they don't want you. They don't want you talking.
All of a sudden, he disappear.
I was eager to hear what you were going to say about that. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of concerns about what comes next, because there are a lot of people that aren't going to be happy to not know. They really want to know which of us aren't one of them.
Yeah, they're pissed. There's a lot of COVID ears, I call them.
Yeah, I've gone through. I've done my duty, and you better do your duty too.
Right.
It's not fair. It's not fair that we had to get it and you don't.
No, it isn't fair that you're an idiot, but God makes people stupid too, I guess.
Well, that's the fun thing about Twitter and Instagram and all of this stuff. After Biden said that if you've been fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore, were the amount of leftists going, I'm still going to wear my mask, for one of two reasons. One, because they would say they didn't want to be confused for a Republican, or two, because they don't actually know if people are lying about having taken the vaccine.
Well, what I can say about that, thankfully, is that's called Twitter.
Right.
And if you're going to hang out in the leftist slums, then you're going to get the leftist slums.
Right.
I love it.
I can say I was at an event yesterday, and I didn't see a single mask in the entire building that I was in. Even outside of the people I was with, would have a higher propensity towards that. I think the only people that had masks on were the staff, because I'm sure they were forced to by their
Right.
company.
So, for example,
and I was out at a
Walmart.
park today in that same city and didn't see a single mask. So,
for example, Walmart, who is like arguably one of the biggest retailers in the country, if not the biggest, has said even that they're no longer requiring masks if people have had vaccinations. They don't have technically any legal standing to ask people to show them proof of vaccination. So if the largest retailer in the country has basically said, okay, you're on the honor system, come and go as you please, I sort of think that that's going to make it difficult for businesses who want to compete with Walmart, and good luck with you on that, to require masks, to require vaccination proof of vaccination.
Yeah, but you're only in the first chess move. You're not seeing where that goes. When
I'm not good at chess, so help me out.
There's a spike in cases because the vaccine doesn't do anything, or actually makes people sick. As is suspected that it will do in the fall. There's going to be much higher numbers because the vaccine and some of its studies, from what I understand, has been shown to do that, and like the animal samples. They're going to blame it on the people that refuse the vaccine, as opposed to acknowledging that it is because of the vaccine itself.
There's a Major League Baseball team where I think 8 members, all who were fully vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson shot, all turned out COVID positive. This week or the week before.
Lots and lots of that.
Right. So, I mean, if the vaccine is proven useless already, you know what I'm saying? I think they're having a hard row to hoe with public confidence.
Well, no. See, you're thinking like a rational human being. You're not thinking like a government, where all that means is we have to double down. We need to do it more. Look, we didn't have enough of your money. We didn't tax enough. We need more. It's never possible that it's a bad tack to take. It's just we need to go do it further. So we didn't force you to vax every 4 months. We didn't force you to vax every week. Somehow see how many. We need people with like bulbous faces from the amount of injections they've gotten. Walk around with just sacks of vaccine hanging off your face.
I think
now that you say that, it sounds like a great horror movie.
Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who would go along with it, but I think that increasingly so that there are people not willing. I hope anyway. But there are on the thing you said about making a great story. There are so many science fiction stories where an alien race comes down. You're having a pandemic that's killing all your people. An alien race comes from space and offers you a vaccine, and that vaccine sterilizes you. And that's a theme that's been written in so many science fiction stories. I couldn't count them on both hands. So they were
just following Bill Gates' work.
That mentality is in people's minds already, though, that these mass forced vaccination efforts are not on the up and up. They're not on the level. And I think people know that because their narratives already say that.
I went and had my shit cut, so I can't have kids anyways, thank God. Because God forbid you bring them into this world. Ugh. Sounds oogie. I already feel bad for the one I brought in. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, that is a trope amongst... But when you say like science fiction... It depends what you're talking about, because honestly, it tends to be amongst science fiction authors, you tend to find people that, look at some of the most famous, like Huxley and, Wells. There are people that were involved in the whole technocratic movement from the beginning, and so their science fiction was more of like a science futurism than it was fiction.
Yes. speculative fiction.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, they're laying out they're what the plans are for people. That's
right,
like
Cam. Sorry to interrupt, but it goes right to what you're saying. Weren't you telling me that the moon is a harsh mistress? I'm the guy who wrote that. He also wrote Starship Troopers.
Yeah, Robert Heinlein.
That's Robert Heinlein. Thank you. That's supposed to be like this libertarian type theme of movie, or a lot of libertarians point at it and say, "Look how libertarian this movie is." But weren't you saying it was what didn't mean it ironically? That was his idea of how the future should be.
The moon is a harsh mistress. I don't think it's ever been adapted to the screen. It should be. It's like the most anarcho-capitalist book ever written, except for probably something David Friedman wrote. But he also wrote Starship Troopers, which Paul Vanderhoeven directed and made it a satire, and that satire is very anti-fascist. But Robert Heinlein, from what I've read and what I've seen, his views on government and stuff were very dependent on who he was married to at the time. And when he wrote Starship Troopers, he was married to essentially a fascist. Okay. And so he, around that same time, he had written like an op-ed or bought an ad that was against nuclear, getting rid of nuclear bombs or something by Ike. And so the Starship Troopers is essentially a book saying what he would like to see at that point. But I think it was written before The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, but I don't have the timeline in front of me, so I'm not sure.
Interesting. That's the thing about his wife, his whatever wife he had at the time. That's interesting.
There does seem to be a tie to his wife and his political views.
It's all about
which
the
I find
dick
fascinating. You're a science fiction fan, though.
Oh, I'm a huge science fiction fan.
What do you think about that breakdown just then? Am I wrong?
No, that was actually pretty accurate. And I personally really like Heinlein. He's not Asimov, which is really my thing. But what's hilarious is like Asimov is probably the biggest fucking statist that ever existed. Like, God, he just salivate over these giant spatial empires, like collecting people, just pulling everybody in. Now, if you want to go and watch some sci-fi that's going to really fuck with your head and make you weep for the future, I recommend The Circle.
Oh, are you talking about the reality show?
There's a reality show because, I mean, to me, I just thought it was direct CIA propaganda. I think they call that a limited hangout, where they just tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Oh shit!
What's also really weird is that the Tom Hanks thing.
Oh, you're talking about the movie with Tom Hanks. I'm talking about the Netflix reality show, The Circle.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Don't really care.
That's the trash TV that Cam loves.
Yeah, it was trash TV that I
Well,
watched.
Is the entire premise that you should have no privacy?
Well, the entire premise is there are this many people that are living without privacy in a apartment building, and they talk to each other through a voice activated kind of like an Alexa or a Siri, but it's social media, and they block people and they try to win a social media game. And so I haven't seen the movie
describing is the movie.
Okay, interesting.
What's funny is that like the end goal of the movie is like you're watching this and it's you're thinking, oh, they're going to learn their lesson and learn the value of privacy at the end of this. What they instead learn is that humanity should have no privacy, and every moment you should be shared with every other human being on the planet. And the main character willingly chooses this for the entire world. It all involves social media. Like, it's the most terrifying thing I've ever watched in my life.
Well, now I have to watch.
And I've seen the fourth kind.
I'm not a big Tom Hanks guy.
But the thing that was weird about it is you're watching this movie and Tom Hanks' involvement, where he actually is the guy that runs the company. Basically, it's Facebook. It's the idea.
Zuckerberg.
Yes. But if you remember, way back at the beginning of the pandemic, who was the first celebrity to catch?
It was Tom Hanks.
And who was the one signaling to everybody what they needed to be doing? Well,
and I mentioned that because I saw it and I was like, of course, okay. And I what was it? The girls on Voluntary Vixens called it the Tom Hanks disease.
That's right.
Well, and I fought for a long time, the correlation that he might be involved in something sinister. And then I watched this movie and I'm like, oh no, this thing looks like it was literally just put out by the CIA. Like they wrote the script for this movie and said, here you go, folks, enjoy.
Like hiding in plain sight. Like,
there's no hiding. Well, what's funny is because it is kind of that, because very few people I know have watched this movie. It looks like a stupid movie.
It does.
And for all intents and purposes, if it wasn't so accurate to what I think their goal is, I would agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it reads like a playbook.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that they call it? There's a phrase for that, which is like
limited hangout.
Well, no, there's a word that talks about how they show the plans, something programming, but they show
predictive programming.
Predictive programming. That's the word. Looks like it.
And so it's like they so basically what you're saying is like they tell you what they're going to do. It's so unbelievable that you think it's silly, but really they're mentally preparing you for what they're going to do.
To what's going to happen.
Right. So that vaccine passport, they were sorry to bring it back to this, but like they started talking about that. They started talking about that like the year before, and everybody's like, that's crazy. That's a conspiracy theory. And now it's like, hey, this is real. We're really talking about this.
What's crazy about that was they floated it. And then people had such a harsh, like in recent days, and, Florida and then some follower states were like, no, fuck that. We're not doing it. And then they had to back up, and then they're reintroducing it slowly. And they're using that carrot and stick analogy that makes me want to punch them in the heads. Did you notice, though, that your state is offering you $1 million to get the vaccine? Nick?
Which one? I wouldn't have any need for their crappy money.
Well, so we talked about this with, DeWine, Ohio.
They're offering us a lottery, isn't that what it is?
Well, Monica was on the
adults.
show when I mentioned it to her. She hadn't heard of it previously, which is always cool to break something to Monica.
Here's the thing. I don't pay attention to the news.
Yeah.
So I have no.
You both whispered what?
Sweet nothings in each other's ears. What are you talking about?
It literally was just like snakes talking to each other, and I'm like, what's going on?
I don't listen to the news. Is what I was saying.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, but so DeWine, they have two different things, and they're using the voter rolls. And if for adults, they have, if you've taken both doses of the vaccine for 6 weeks, starting I think this Wednesday, maybe, they're giving away $1 million to each person that wins this so-called lottery. And they're doing the same thing for kids, but with Ohio state universities.
This is what we call preying on the poor.
Yes.
There it is. That's exactly what I said about it. The poor you created by shutting their businesses down and shutting their livelihoods down.
But yeah, so that's what's going on in your state. So
I try to ignore as much of it as I can. Just pay attention to my people. Stay close to the ones that I want to.
Right. Well, and that is a conversation I've had with multiple people lately, where I'm just, why are you so intent on looking at every single detail from the news, every single COVID fact you can find? Why are you trying to change the national political world? Why are you doing this instead of dealing with your shit and making your life better? It's a conversation that keeps fucking happening.
Because they can't and they won't. They feel powerless and can't affect change in their lives, and all they can do is help push change and power on yours. That's why.
I hate it.
If they were to try and fail at fixing their own lives, that would be having to own something, and they can't own anything. So all they can do is take credit for pushing your life the way they want it to go. It's sad.
It is sad. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it, because I'm I know that I feel powerless.
You're not a sociopath, Cam.
I am. That's true. I'm not a sociopath, and I'm not a cynic. And so I think that those things help.
I'm naturally a cynic, and I have to fight my desire to say, look, you all need to be wiped off the planet daily. But I do fight it and realize it's not my place. That's ultimately what it is. I think that it is absolutely absurd to think that there's that many smart people on the planet and that few stupid people. Like the math doesn't bear that out. So
the bell curve is clear.
Yeah. So I tend to follow the minority in most things.
Is that why you became a colonizer?
That's not why I became a colonizer. I became a colonizer because I like big asses. That's all that is.
He cannot lie.
Referencing previous episodes, folks. If you want to find out what colonization is, you can go back and see our conversations previously.
I like to mention that you're a colonizer every time now.
I had a fun conversation about it last night at that Mises event.
Oh yeah,
in Pittsburgh.
How was that?
Well,
because I've seen a lot of temper tantrums on Twitter.
As far as after Pennsylvania,
yeah,
by who?
Different people. Like
names, Cam.
Yeah, give me some names.
Okay, here's the thing. I would name names if I remembered them.
No, it's okay. Well, I guess so. I think it was like the first play or first like not out. I guess you could call it a not outright victory, but I still think it was a victory.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to this guy Jose, who I have no idea. I just know him as Jose. He was friends with some of the punk rock libertarians guys, and he had joined the party and had shown up to convention to vote because that's what they tell you to do. And he's a brown person, as you can imagine, with a name like Jose. And I guess yesterday was the first time in history that the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party had refused to waive their 180-day policy, which is if you hadn't been a member of the party at least 180 days prior to convention, you didn't get the right to vote. Now they've waived it every year that it's been in existence, with the exception of yesterday. Now, Jose chose to ask why this was the case because he felt he was being disenfranchised as a new member. And, they've been making such a big fuss about all the new members that they had.
Right.
And what he was told was, look, we have a lot of white supremacists trying to infiltrate this party in the guise of the Mises Caucus, and we have to do whatever we can to keep them from gaining power because there's more of them than there are us.
By forbidding the brown guy from voting. That's great, guys. You're doing so well.
Mind you, he was of the Mises Caucus persuasion. And
so naturally also.
Yes. But that is what they, when they've been making all these calls to try and prevent a white supremacist takeover.
What a stunning admission that we're terrified of the Mises Caucus. There's more of them than there are of us, and we have to cheat to keep them from.
They didn't cheat. That's completely within the rights of their bylaws.
Yeah, it was in the bylaws.
Okay, check it though. If you play Monopoly in your house, you have house rules for Monopoly. Everybody at every house has a rule that belongs to their house. If you suddenly revoke the Monopoly rule for your house, you are cheating. You're cheating.
Well, but if you go in with a person who will invoke the rules that help them, and you don't expect them to invoke the rules that are going to help them, you're naive.
Yes.
Sure.
Really, all this is they're forestalling the inevitable anyways, and that's why I still think it was a victory. Because
I just think it was
next year.
It was funny seeing especially the people in Pennsylvania that didn't want it pitching fits, and then I saw some people on the Mises Caucus side pitching fits. I can't remember their names because I don't know who they are. Because most people I talk to are not pitching fits. It's just these little random people who were like, I thought I was going to change something, but I was unable to.
Well,
they don't know how.
Like I said, they did end up changing things because amidst all of this, apparently the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party was also trying to double the length of their terms in an effort to have to keep there from being another vote before the next national party or national convention, and they failed at that. So right before next national convention, I'm assuming that the only growing part of the Libertarian Party will continue to grow as it has the entirety of its history. And next year will completely decimate because all of those people that showed up to vote this year will have been 180 days. There's no way to keep them out then.
Yeah.
And there will just be nothing left. And as we've said, like this ends one of two ways. Either they make the Libertarian Party actually libertarian or they completely destroy it. And in both cases, I'm completely cool with those outcomes.
I prefer one over the other, but still.
I'm completely okay with them being able to go out and preach liberty on a national stage for as much as that's worth. But if they completely destroy the thing, at least, there aren't people out there getting a shitty idea of what liberty is that's not accurate. So whatever, I'll take either.
I just love the chaos though, of especially like the most interesting thing about the Mises Caucus to me are the Richie Castaldos and the Archie Flower of the world.
The reaction. Well, you mean we have the Cathedral
Barnacles?
Caucus that's come out of all this.
Oh
no, they don't call themselves that, do they?
Yes, there's the Cathedral Caucus now, direct opposition to the Mises Caucus, and that's
I need a shower.
Like if the Mises Caucus deserves credit for anything, that happening is something special.
That's funny though.
You should go and look at some of their Facebook message, some of their Facebook profile stuff. It's charming to say the least.
Wow. It's like basically why would you call yourself like the terrible, corrupt, evil piece of shit caucus? Like why would you do that? It's just
because
bad marketing.
Some people are completely okay with that. Like let's not pretend that people don't realize they're part of Leviathan.
Right.
Some people are more than happy to be part of the collective.
Yeah.
And wear it like a badge.
Oh, God.
I'm just glad that some of these people have no actual power.
Well, were you going to say there's 275 members of this caucus?
At least there are 275 people who have liked this page. I like pages that I hate just to see their shit.
In the room in Pittsburgh I was in yesterday, there was a hell of a lot more than that many people in that room. So yeah, they can keep their little couple hundred people for whatever faults you might have with Michael Heiss. I mean, he's managed to create a PAC that he's able to quit his job and work full time on. Like it makes enough money monthly to warrant that. So, good luck. Like I'm pretty sure they make more money than the Libertarian Party itself does at this point.
Oh, all right. That's
so
an
it's
easy
just
thing
a matter
to
of time.
Yeah. And like I was saying before, it really is an admission on their part. They're saying we're terrified of this. There's nothing that we can do about it, and we'll pull any trick that we can.
Before each one of these conventions, they sent out an email saying, "Please help. We're in the middle of a white supremacist takeover. You need to come and try and keep these people from pushing us out."
And it's amazing to have, basically
white supremacists like Jose.
White supremacists like Jose asking, like, why am I not being allowed to vote? Oh, you're suppressing my vote?
Or my good buddy Connor Nepomuceno.
Yeah, that's...
Well, his name is Connor, so he's white.
He's not white, I promise you.
With a name like Connor, you can't be anything but white, Nick.
Well, that's true.
Honorary white.
Like they won't let you. The doctors won't let your baby leave the hospital with the name Connor if you're not white.
This is also the other thing that's really funny to me about this is that so if the shit that Libertarian Mises Caucus people get for being married to members of other races, like have you seen all of Jack Lloyd's little fucking groups and stuff? And
is that the Libertarian guys with Asian wives?
Well, that's where it all started, but now you've got Libertarian guys with ebony wives, and like it's branched out into a thing. And the reason it's branched out into a thing is because it's like there's a very, very high percentage of us that are in like mixed race marriages and shit like that. Like very high percentage.
Mm.
You know, to which there's we just fetishize these people.
Colonizers.
So
yeah, we're colonizers, you know.
My friend Paul is a libertarian
your
guy with an Asian wife. Did I say that right? With an Asian wife. He's a libertarian guy with an Asian wife. So
well, you know, you got the me and Spike Cohens of the world, and we have our beautiful black women that we've married and love dearly. You know,
I mean, based purely on attraction and being attractive, like me and my wife could be in a different race entirely. Like she's far more attractive than I am. Like I think I might be a troll.
Well,
compared to
Cam, I've known you enough to know that you are in fact a troll. Like,
that's true. Well, I think I'm at least
in the South Park way, but you know, I think you're a handsome guy. You've got the hair and the beard, you know, it works for you.
Shave the fucking side of it. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to comment on like your Skrillex moment, but you know, you do what you're gonna do.
Oh God, he just ruined it, didn't he? It's ruined now. Throw it back.
Say bangarang once, and we'll get it out of your system. Promise. Speaking of bangarang, we made my daughter. My daughter refuses to watch movies that we suggest to her to watch. And then like we make her watch them. She's like, "Oh my God, it was so good." I'm like, "Yeah, honey, maybe we had like good movies when we were kids." So we did sit down and make her watch Hook the other day. Which she was fighting us tooth and nail on watching this thing. And then she actually sits down and watches. She's like, "Oh, so good." And I'm like, yeah. No shit. We like good stuff.
Well, it's like my wife. So I work, and so my wife is the one who typically during the day will show them different movies and shows. And so my son, my oldest, when she shows him a movie, it is her movie. So it may as well be a girl movie. And so in his opinion, he's not being mean about it. He loves them. But Indiana Jones is her movie. And I'm like, bitch, I don't have a whip and a fedora because it's your mom's movie. It's because I'm a fucking nerd. And I'm
gonna be honest, Cam. You absolutely have a whip and a fedora because it's mom's movie. And so when you burst into the bedroom with the whip and the fedora, like let's not pretend that this is anything but what it is. He just let us in on exactly how the bedroom works in the Arliss household.
More information than I needed, guys.
I could say more.
Go for it. Whatever. I'm all about knowing people's sex lives.
Oh shit! There was something I was going to ask you, but I've completely spaced on it now. So what do you want to know about me, Nick? What do you not know?
Well, me and Cam we were talking about how much we love each other the other day.
Yes.
And like we're bros and stuff. All my really close friends are on the internet.
It's true
enough. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't feel like I've ever not gotten an answer to anything I've asked. I wanted to know about.
I'm an open book. I told the internet about my cock aperture.
Just glad the internet has the word cock aperture now. That's the best part of all of that.
I am just so glad that Jessica said it. Like I am taken aback. Like this is what you can know about me. If someone says something that I think is truly funny, I'm going to give them props forever.
There's a hand motion that goes along with it too. This is
I'm not going to Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. All of a sudden, I'm like, why are the eyes not painted on your palms if you're doing that thing?
Because when there are palms, no, but it can be.
It's a good movie.
I've been writing them down.
Well, if you want to watch it, what I recommend is the Orphanage.
Okay, so my husband and I actually been talking about adopting, and then that movie came up on our list, right? And we watched it, and Evan looked at me.
The Orphanage or the Orphan?
The Orphan.
Okay, he's talking about the Guillermo del Toro movie.
Oh, okay, different movie.
The Orphan's fucking weird.
I would recommend Jessica does not watch The Orphanage at any time in the near future. Just because I love Jessica and know enough about her that this movie is not going to sit well.
Okay.
The description of this movie is Peter Pan told from the parents' perspective.
Oh,
see, that's
dark.
fascinating. I like the Peter Pan theory that the pirates are the lost boys that grew up. Because Peter Pan steals children, and once they age out of being lost boys, they become the villains to Peter Pan, which are the pirates.
Well, I mean, inevitably that's what has to happen.
So fascinating. I love that. It's so dark.
God. Oh dear. Yeah, no, so I've heard a lot of theories like that the kids have cancer and they died or something like that. I've heard terrible, terrible Peter Pan rumors.
Well, but I mean, the idea behind the orphanage is a woman shows up and her son's missing.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing in the house and all of a sudden he's gone. Which is basically the story of fucking Peter Pan. All of a sudden your kids fly out a goddamn window and ain't there anymore.
Right.
And how do you deal with that as a parent?
You cut off your clitoris.
Well, and ultimately, like the movie lets you know what happens. Like it's a good story, but like that's from a parent's perspective. That's horrifying to think about.
Yeah,
and you don't ever think about Peter Pan from the perspective of a fucking parent. Like that's a missing children's story. You think about it as hey, they went on adventures and never grew up.
Yes, I just threw in a Lars von Trier joke.
He did. So despite the fact that I'm a sensitive person, I subject myself to these terrible horrors. And Lars von Trier's Antichrist was one of them. And that was
one I was excited to get to last year and didn't make it to.
Maybe for the best.
So
I hear great things about it, and
we're either going to do regular or special episodes for the horror challenge. So whichever movie you choose, you can come back on and we can talk about that movie afterwards.
Please not Antichrist. Please.
I wouldn't even know where to begin on that one.
I can't watch it again. I've seen it once, never again.
You say these things and it makes me want to watch it so bad.
Oh my God.
Well, you want to know what the scariest movie I've ever seen in my entire life was?
What?
And this is just because of who I am. The Fourth Kind.
Okay.
Is that an alien movie?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen the Close Encounters, right?
It's basically the story. It's done kind of like in a found footage sort of way.
Okay.
I don't know how much of this it's true or whatever, but basically a woman's son comes up missing or something. She blames it on the aliens, is I think the real story. It happens in this town in Alaska.
Okay.
But it also is, I guess, a town that has a higher than normal rate of people with abduction stories also. And it is these most terrifying fucking, because I mean, like the aliens essentially like walk through walls and shit. Like it's horrible.
It is referred to as a pseudo documentary purporting to be a dramatic reenactment of true events.
Yes.
So it is acted. It is a drama.
Oh no, yeah, it's Mila Jovovich, I think, in the movie, playing the doctor, like in the actual. But the idea is that it's based on like they have actual footage of a doctor, like they kind of play next to it at times. So she's reenacting stuff that they have actual video footage of. It really doesn't matter, like to me, how accurate it is. It's just fucking scary as shit.
Okay.
Like I watched it at my parents' house and had to drive back to my apartment downtown and like where I lived. And I'm like trying to keep my eyes off of going into the sky.
So I always find that when a movie has that believability to it, like this could be real, it's way more scary. That's why like movies about like serial killers are scarier to me than movies about vampires.
Well,
like, the vampires aren't real. Serial killers are.
The problem is that I have very vivid imagination. And
why would that be a problem?
A tendency to lucid dream.
Ooh.
And
you watch horror.
I've definitely woken up next to lizard people in my bed with me. And like hidden closets for days at a time of shit that's terrified me enough to do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have seen ball lightning when I was a child. I watched a doll get up and walk once.
What the fuck? Don't talk about dolls. I don't like dolls.
Oh, I've made it. No, I told my daughter would never let have dolls in her house.
What the fuck? Shut up, Cam.
So I kind of work in a world where I have to assume some of the shit that I see isn't real to get by.
Yeah. Because dolls don't do that ever.
Yeah, my
Ever.
buddy doll, when I was about 8 years old, got up and walked across my hallway.
That's the scariest one.
I know, isn't it?
That's the scariest
And,
doll.
and you're laughing as if like I'm not being 100% honest.
I'm
this is
not.
what I was
I don't
seeing.
think it's fucking funny.
I'm laughing
Cam's mean.
because Jessica is just deathly afraid of dolls.
Oh no, dude, I am too. I said growing up, if I ever had a daughter, she was never gonna. I'll buy the shit out of stuffed animals, but we don't do dolls.
My sister
Puppets and avatars. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying my sister had a lot of dolls growing up, and they don't bother me now. But there was a time where she moved to like a twin bed from like a toddler day bed, and every single one of her dolls was lined up on that day bed, sitting up and looking forward. And there was one of those that like the eyes followed you no matter where you were in the room, and it caused me great distress. But Jessica being uncomfortable is also funny to me.
See, I think
like his national pastime.
Terrifying thing.
I just, I've done a lot of hallucinogenic drugs in my time, so I feel like the lightning thing wouldn't scare me that much. Now I'd be like, I must
here's
have
the
like
thing, Jessica. This
popped my
all
back
happened
wrong.
before I would have been old enough to do any of that stuff.
Right.
And I've not done that much of that in life because I have a liminal enough hold on reality as it is.
Right.
I
Really
have
young.
too much
Probably safe,
of an imagination to do any of that shit. I just know it would go south so quick.
I have definitely done shit sleepwalking. Like I think
man.
I tried stabbing one of my uncles when I was a kid.
Oh wow. See, that's not me. I just try to bang my wife in my sleep.
Well, I do that regardless, but like it just weird. I definitely died once in my sleep. That was weird.
Wait, like for real died?
Well, like went through the process of being exploded in a bomb.
Okay.
But like was half awake when it happened.
Deconstituted by the bomb?
Yes, and it was very painful and very fucking weird.
I don't know. It sounds right. It sounds like a word, right?
Deconstituted. I love it.
It's a great way of saying what I felt like in the process.
Right.
Your being
constituent parts became
piece by piece.
Right.
Well, that is a conversation I had to have with my wife when we got married. Was I don't sleepwalk anymore, but I sleep talk and I sleep move, and there's a very good chance that I'm going to. Unless you consent right now, I'm going to sexually assault you in my sleep.
Oh my
God.
Just understand this is how
I need this to be signed before we go to bed. Okay.
All right. Well, here's the thing, Cam.
Why do you think I have so many children?
Have you ever heard of the band Boys Night Out?
I haven't.
So Boys Night Out is a I'm going to call them like not post hardcore, screamo band from like the late aughts, I guess maybe.
Okay.
And they have this album out called Trainwreck. And the whole album it's about talking to a mental patient who murdered his wife during a dream.
Oh wow.
Like he was essentially sleepwalking and killed his wife. And like him dealing with the guilt and kind of trying to move through the process of grieving while also dealing with like the emotional distress that would cause. It's an awesome record. And like the whole thing ends where like the doctor that's like watching him ends up finding him, like showing up to his house to do like a home call to check on him. And like the guy's just all pilled up and dying and not like real dark stuff. So at least you're not doing that in your sleep.
It's true. I just like to touch the booty.
My husband's a sleep talker, so he doesn't get up and walk around, but randomly at 3 a.m, he'll just start laughing, which is scary as shit.
My wife said I danced.
My daughter does that.
Yeah. So, but he's in a good mood at least, So, but one time I asked him, I was like, "What's so funny?" And he pointed behind him, and he's like, "These guys." And he just kept laughing. He's in bed. Like what's
My
behind him
dream-
is his mattress.
My dream is to one day be one of those guys that he's pointing to. That's all. That's
Just
all that I
making
want.
him laughing in the ether. Yeah.
Yes.
Laughing.
All I
in the
want.
ether.
Can't see Nick anymore.
I
Unfortunate.
am still here.
Okay, cool.
Like
I was
so
I was gonna say
when you hold on real
Okay.
quick just to clarify. So when you die, you'll be a ghost that comes into people's dreams and makes them laugh.
yes, absolutely.
Sounds
I will.
awesome.
If I
Awesome.
don't do that, fucking kill me. No, it's like I tweeted today because I feel like it needs to be said. If you ever see me joke policing for any sort of joke at any time, Twitter, real life, etc., go ahead and grab a wooden stake and shove it through my heart because I've lost my soul and it's not alive. I will never do that. I've
Okay.
died if that's happened.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Nick, I hear that you're going to be at Childerberg. Is this true?
It is definitely true.
I have to assume that since you turned off the video that you're naked right now.
He's naked right now.
It could be. Is that what
I
you
also-
guess?
I also
Yeah.
hear that you're playing music, right?
I will be playing music at Childerberg, I believe, on Saturday at the Childerberg Arts and Comedy Festival.
So I just wanted to mention that you're going to be there in case anyone wants to meet you. You'll be at Childerberg. And I also wanted to say, I don't know if you're going to be there, Nick. I know that Jessica won't because she's a hermit. But
Mhm.
I will be at Tom Woods 2000 in October. So if any of you fools are making the trek to Orlando and want to meet me for some dumb fucking reason, I'll be there.
I wish I could. And I guess
You
I can't
should.
say that I won't be for sure, but probably not.
Plan for it if you try to, because I feel like that would be lovely.
It would be, just don't share a hotel room with Cameron.
Well, Cameron's
Because-
going to be sleeping in his house and driving there. I mean,
Okay, all
Who's
right. I'm just trying to warn these people's beeholes.
okay, I'm not a sleep butt fucker. I'm a
Oh,
sleep
he's a
butt toucher.
discriminating. Okay. It's very discriminating in his unconsciousness
I will
about
touch your butt with my hand, not with my
what he's touching.
dingus.
Butt touching where it's at. So,
Sorry.
so
the
I feel like
dingus
I need.
aperture.
We haven't talked really music at all.
Let's talk
And I
about
feel
music.
like we need to talk music here real quick.
Let's do it. I
So-
named the episode "Punk's Not Dad" or "Punk is."
And we're not
Dad.
going to talk about punk at all. We're
Is
going to talk
that?
hip hop, actually.
Well, hell yeah. Hip hop is the punk. Of
I
black
got in this
people.
conversation yesterday. So I am not, unlike every other libertarian out there, apparently, I'm not a fan of backwards. Like, I'm glad that they exist and someone's making ANCAP music. That's dope. But I'm really not excited about new metal making a comeback. That being said, I wish Eric July would spend more time doing what I think he really excels at, which is rap.
the Rippa's rips.
Dude, if you listen to his newest
They're
track,
great.
and
I haven't
it was
listened to the newest one, but
Dude,
every time he does that, I'm
straight
down.
fire. You should go pull it on right now, and we can critique it.
We're gonna critique it. Well, that's the thing. I love Eric, but I haven't loved new metal since I was like 14 years old.
Well, and that's exactly. I'm not excited about Fred Durst coming back. So
Fred
anything,
Durst is coming
anything
back?
that stinks of Fred Durst, I'm
Fred
excited
Durst
to.
is alive?
Yes, he is.
Wow. Who knew?
I'm assuming Method Man, but come together
Wait,
now.
what is it called? Uh-oh. Is it called Uh-oh Disney? What is it called?
Oh God, what is it called?
Video.
He just released it like 2 or 3 days ago, I think. And I wish I could see it better on my side here.
I mean, I could turn on the screen so you can see it.
No. Here, I'm gonna go to Odyssey, which is where you go when you want to watch videos, right?
That is the place to go. We're going to be talking to Jeremy Kaufman soon.
Are you going to be talking to Jeremy Kaufman soon?
Oh, I
Didn't
sure
you guys already
am.
talked to Jeremy Kaufman?
We haven't. No, I mean we've chatted on
Not on the
Twitter,
show.
but
Right.
Okay. Who he was on somebody's episode pretty recently.
he was on Clint's show.
Oh, that's who it was.
Liberty Lockdown.
I like Clint's show. That stuff's fun. I don't entirely understand it, but I like the show. Sometimes he is like
What don't you understand? I'm like you. I only listen to a few things. So what don't you understand?
I used to listen to a lot more, obviously.
Well, you had This Week in Liberpods.
I did, so I had to listen to a ton of them. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of glad I don't listen to them. It's difficult to take all of that much.
Yeah. Especially after the COVID stuff. Because a lot of people that I knew were just all talking about COVID all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking kill me. I don't want to hear that.
I just tell my husband to quit shoving charts in my face. Like, I don't know what this means and I don't care. Like, but the mask mandate. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, so I'm sorry, I love you, but I don't care.
Since I don't want to dox your husband, I'm gonna come up with a name for him that I can call him. Let's go.
He has a fake name on Twitter.
Let's go with
really?
I'm gonna call him Kevin.
No, you are not. You are not calling my husband Kevin.
You so look like someone who'd be married to a dude named Kevin.
Oh shit! We're gonna fight. It's all right.
Why can't you be a Kevin though?
Just I don't know. I dated a Kevin. Let's not go there.
Oh, that's married to Kevin.
Let It Slide.
No.
That's the name of this song.
So no, my husband has an alias already, like a Twitter alias, which is not.
Tell me more about your husband.
I need you to know.
What we're doing here is we're making the fantasies more real for me. So like, when I gotta push him out of the way. I can have a more accurate depiction of what's going on.
Right. So, my husband is a research and development physicist, and he does research on. You know what? I'm not going to say what he does research on, but because that would dox him, right. But he's a scientist, basically. So, and then he is really concerned with charts, lots of charts on COVID, and he shoves them in my face all the time.
Okay.
What else can I tell you?
He got a stern bush.
What?
Like stands up on end? What does stern mean?
Sternum.
Sternum bush.
Chest
hair. Yeah.
He's got he's a good masculine man.
A thick mat of chest hair.
I'm a big fan of Psych, by the way. So this is where this comes from.
I would like for him to wear some kind of gold chain that would nestle itself in his chest.
That's the appropriate way to do that. In fact,
he won't wear a V-neck button down and a gold necklace.
Well, see, here's the thing,
Kevin.
I am naturally Italian, so it actually just grows with the gold chain there.
That's right.
I don't actually have to put the gold chain on. Like it just kind of incorporates there.
When an Italian is born, they have like a gold crucifix or something.
Well, actually,
of that nature.
It's the horn.
Oh, is it?
If you've met a real Italian or real Italian American, they got the horn.
The horn. Okay. What is the horn exactly?
I can't remember offhand. My family doesn't go that
we
deep.
know they're horny,
but I have friends that are like way
sexually aggressive.
They're the kind that like call it gravy.
What is that? Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Wait. Are you talking about
story back a few feet?
you know macaroni and gravy?
No.
Okay, if you ever met like real Italian American people, it's called macaroni and gravy. That's red sauce.
Okay.
Oh,
see,
it's just like the go-to.
Right, I got you. Okay, my grandmother, who I did not grow up around, was Italian, but I didn't grow up around her, so I don't know all the.
Because she was Italian.
Well, because she was Catholic.
And that goes in there too. There's that.
My parents both came from Catholic families and were not Catholic afterwards. So,
yeah, that's no surprise.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a recovering Catholic myself. I get it.
A lot of them out there. You
gonna watch this young Ripa?
Oh, dude, it's the best thing I've seen them put out in a long while.
Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I can't let it slide.
I do love Eric. I wish he would answer my tweets though.
You're white, dude. Don't expect too much.
I am.
Look like we got another one of them. Popping at the mouth or the side of his neck when he pouts. No argument, no rebuttal from. He ain't from my town, I don't know him, so I'm guessing he's a clown like he wanted me to love on him. But you know that ain't my style, yet he still got my name in his mouth and I ain't.
Oh, boo.
But look at that poop face. That's a great one. For those who don't know what a poop face is, anytime a video pauses, whatever your face is when the video pauses is your poop face.
I thought it was your Indian stroke face.
Face you make when you're pooping.
Vinegar stroke face, that's what it was.
Petty because you see me rising, becoming legendary, and you talking down like you very scary. Come on, dude. Get on, fool. Typing and writing on a post to get a cosign when you wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight in the produce section at Whole Foods. I already told you since my adolescence I had to stress that never being less than being excellent.
You got like Tom McDonald's like out there, he's blowing up. And I love his message, but God, I can't stand his beats and his rap. Like, his rap's okay, his beats are so terrible. And then like you watch this, like, oh yeah, and that's how hip hop track's supposed to go. That's just tight.
I promise you, it ain't worth it. It's more than getting laughed at.
I think that what's his name? I'm sorry. I've had 4 double shots of Knob Creek at this
He's
point.
had not enough, is what he's saying.
Eric was, I think, the first guest we ever had when we were Make Liberty Great Again in 2016. Episode 100's coming up. Can you believe that?
It is weird.
Can you believe that shit? What do you think I should do for episode 100?
Bath
salt. Bath salt's okay. No, I tried edibles and it didn't work.
You're from Florida. I mean, I just assumed
he is a Florida man.
Do. So one of my favorite things, I know there's the Florida man trope, but one of my favorite things is there's this group that does basically like different versions of Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube. Like,
yeah.
And they have like they'll do Dungeons and Dragons. Florida Man Edition is my favorite. And so like each character, like they say like what they're doing. Like,
yeah,
I like to do some crystal meth and take my girlfriend through the drive-thru. And by girlfriend, do you mean your alligator? Of course. But essentially, the way, from what I understand, the way that they make the like make up the actual Florida Man bits for the Florida Man edition is they actually take actual news clippings from Florida to like say what each person is going to do in the episode. And I think I've done like 6 different Florida Man edition episodes, and they're all hilarious, all based on like actual news clippings.
What
like,
I love about Florida Man is the only reason he exists is because the laws behind reporting on crime are different in Florida. So in a lot of states, there's a lot of anonymity about what people did, who they were, what happened. But in Florida, they're like, no, you can tell the whole story. And so that's why there are so many Florida Man stories, is because the press has carte blanche on telling these stories exactly as they happened, as compared to other states who can't do that.
Cam, I'm from Florida, and that is complete and utter fucking nonsense.
Well, I mean,
Florida
but I'm just saying,
exist because fucking Florida is weird.
Dude, I'm from Alabama, so yes, Florida is fucking weird. I'm an Alabamian. But what I'm saying though is, you know, that Mississippi and Georgia would have some pretty fucking funny stories if it weren't for that.
I can't speak on. Never been to either place.
I've lived in Georgia, and I've noticed it. And I have cousins from Mississippi who wanted to fuck me. So I mean, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't make you abnormal. I had a friend in high school up in New York State who did fuck his cousin. He didn't know it at the time, but I mean that shit just happens, you know. You live in a small town, eventually you find out someone's your cousin, you didn't know it, and then you never live it down. The really hard part was when his girlfriend left him for his dad.
Okay,
his fiance left him for his dad. Walked in on him, you know.
Nick, this worse than the doll.
I was just making a joke, but let's say I had a friend.
I was being completely honest. It was real talk. It was not a joke.
But let's say I had a friend,
Appalachia, folks.
And this friend
he's not wrong.
Had this girl had a sibling, and she had married a guy and had a baby with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't like each other. They divorced. And then this man started dating and got engaged to her mother. As a family member in this situation that's not actually connected outside of this was my sister, how do you react to that? Because I saw this happen and I was like, this is the most Jerry Springer shit that I've ever seen personally.
It's just Chinatown, man. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Done and done.
Stop
It's
thinking
just
about
Alabama,
it.
man. Don't think about it.
Uncomfortable. Just really uncomfortable right now.
Oh, so fucking bizarre. Because what was funny was this friend, her mom came to her and was like, I don't know why you can't just let me be happy. It's my turn to be happy. And I'm like, you're what?
I definitely had a roommate or like a housemate at one point that like he ended up having like a statutory rape charges because he wouldn't fuck a girl's mom. And like the mom turned him into the cops because he wouldn't fuck her.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, people do shit like that. Okay, so I have a family member who scans old police records from mimeograph into a computer. And these stories go back for like, I don't know, they're digitizing all the records or whatever. But
he works there.
Yeah. So he works there scanning all the mimeograph is
I
just
thought
like
he was
big
a freak.
machine. No, he's not just there doing it. So the mimeograph is this machine that's like photos of newspapers. Basically, it's what they kept records on for a really long time. Microfiche, and you turn it, and there might be younger people who don't know what a what a microfiche is. So what my family member does is reads the report and then takes the pertinent information and puts it into a digital copy. Well, I get to hear about all the weird things that people call the cops for, and there are people in our town that call the cops because the trees are making too much noise. And they'll call the police because the trees are making too much noise. And the cops have to go out there. They have to go out there to this person who's complaining that the trees are making too much noise.
That's bullshit. The police have no specific obligation to any person. They can ignore it if they want to. It's been upheld in court.
Here's the question, though.
In the county that we live in, the police were required to go attend to this poor crazy person.
Do they shoot the trees?
Well, I imagine if they are continuing to break noise ordinances, that's the only thing. It's the only reasonable thing you can do. I mean.
So, Nick, let me ask you the perennial question. What in your life or overall, I feel like I have to clarify. You've heard the show. You know what I'm about to ask.
I do.
What is your white pill for the audience?
I mean, there's different white pills, I guess, and different things.
Okay.
I guess the best thing I can think of is that whatever they're trying to do out there, you know, if you want to buy into the conspiracies, their track record is not so good as that they don't have to work their asses off at it. Right. Like the fact that they need to propagandize 24/7 is a little heartening. Like they can't just sprinkle it in. Like it is a full court press at all times.
This vaccine stuff is a full court press.
Yes.
Like, and it's crazy. I've never seen it so strong before.
Like literally, dude. When they're taking your beloved religious like artifacts and they're pushing their bullshit on that, like that's really,
a white pill. You're
really
right.
Working.
One I've white never pill heard the term. Me, I'll just insert this. But one white pill for me was a kid that I saw on Twitter that he would talk about blue pilled libertarians. But every time he would talk about this, I was like, but you're still living within the blue pill as you're trying to call these people blue pilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't be specific because I don't want to cause any issues for this kid. But yesterday he was tweeting, and he was actually tweeting from the red pill. And I was like, that's great. This is a kid. This isn't me who's, 32 years old. I'm not a fucking adult. This is a kid. And I was like, shit, this is good to see.
Well, but you remember how that works, Cam. There's not just one red pill.
Right.
Right. Our good friend and fearless leader Michael Malice will attest to that.
Right. But it was good to see
all of them, but you gotta leave like the final one.
Right.
Because if you take that final one, then you go Super Saiyan, and you can't handle me. This isn't even my final form.
Yeah. But it was just nice to see this kid
nuggets.
move past like sucking that blue pill in his cheek.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Tim Pool, frankly.
Yeah, that's my regular go-to on Tim Pool is that dude sucking on a fucking blue pill.
Yeah, but dude, if you saw Tim Pool 5 years ago,
he's making
That's a good point.
strides. He's progressing.
Like Tim
he
Pool,
hates cops now.
Tim Pool. See, he used to talk shit on. That's when he talk shit, but he definitely was less on the Luke Rakowski wavelength back then, despite their friendship. And he's definitely more on the Luke Rakowski wavelength now than he used to be.
Good. Yeah, and it's like that's been something that I've actually watched, which is also white pill. Watching the blue pill get red pilled is
so furious watching his show because it just he's so close, and then like he would just arbitrarily decide to ignore what the next step is.
Well, and that was one of the things is his issue with the red pill that I saw multiple times was that journalists aren't all bad. And I think that the reason he hung up on the cathedral for so long was because he sees himself as a journalist, and he felt like he was going to be selling himself out if he actually noticed how they actually function. And he put himself in that class.
But I mean, that's the thing. He should think of himself in that class. He needs to stop thinking about those other people as being of that class because they're not.
Right.
They're not journalists. And like journalists speak truth to power. They are the power, so they can't.
Right. But that's been something I have noticed, which is a white pill for me, for sure.
And you take your white pills when you get them. You savor them. Honestly, you're probably best to take them as a suppository with like a slow release.
Well, it's like I was watching the episode of, I don't know if it was Liberty Lockdown or Eric's Rebel with a Cause, but they were talking about white pills, and Eric had said, "Yeah, I like to microdose white pills," and Clint was like, "Where do you get those from?" And then he was like, "Oh, I was like, Eric, you motherfucker, you know where you get those from."
I like to mainline them myself.
Say my name.
I got a saline drip over here that's just full of them.
Lord.
Well, that's one of the things that I appreciate about you is like I went through a cynical period in my life where I was pessimistic about everything and I didn't trust anyone. And really, there is not a lot of love or trust lost between me and most people. But I found optimism in specific things and being able to see the good in the future as a saving grace for me. And I see that in you. I think that even though you say you're a cynic, I see more hope in you than I see in most other people.
I have to, man. I couldn't get through the day if I didn't granted, I have to force that little fire to stay alive. Like I'm sitting with like a little cup around him, like giving him just enough air to keep that fire burning. But that that's not a natural thing. That is something that like takes constant maintenance, frankly.
And I think that's something that people need to know is when you're blue pilled, red pilled, all these pill metaphors, they're voluntary. So being black pilled is voluntary. Being white pilled is voluntary. Having hope is a choice. And I noticed that in you, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about you.
And I was talking to someone about this last night. For me, when I came to like the whole quote unquote libertarian movement, I loved it because it was the best self-help seminar I'd ever attended. Because the basic idea was, dude, nobody's coming to help you. You grab your fucking bootstraps, take care of your shit, and do what you can to take care of yourself, because there ain't nobody else out there to do that.
Yep.
And that was the basis between most of everything about it. And you start, the more you learn, the more you see. I mean, like, people not mentioning technocracy more than they do is fucking amusing to me. But it's also terrifying, because it's like how many few people realize like that is a thing that's been on a 150-year trajectory that we are finally seeing come to fruition. Nobody's talking about it actually happening exactly as it was envisioned 150 years ago.
What would you say? Sorry to interrupt you, but what's the seed? What's the seed point? You say 150 years. What's the seed point for that?
Well, I mean, you could just go back and read the books. Like, go back to the Gilded Age and read all the Rockefellers. Read all those people. They said exactly what they wanted. Like, there's no beating around the bush. They told you exactly how they wanted society to function. They told you exactly how they were going to get there and the means by which they imagined that happening. They just have in the Austrian sense, those people just have a really long time horizon and are willing to take forever to reach their goals.
Right.
So,
well, between that and the fascists, like, I mean, I think that they're married. But
well, no, I mean, the fascism was always the thing.
Right. Well, that's a point that I've made in the past, which is people call fascism this very race-centric nationalist thing, when what's it called? The Great Reset, all of the stuff that we're seeing.
Go look up Jeff Dice's speech from yesterday. Like,
there's a speech from yesterday?
Someone will have it on up online, and it was great.
Yeah.
I really thought Rechtenwald was going to be the one that I was going to write home talking about, but honestly, Dice's speech was great. And
Dice is great.
Well, and I'm not someone who really gives two shits about Dice, honestly. Like, personally, I have issues with hero worship in general. Like, I fucking hate anyone that looks up.
You're on the right show. We're like, like, that's one of those things that we've had to wrestle with and struggle with. Like, most of this has happened in DMs between me and Jessica, but so many of our conversations are frustrations with hero worship. And so, like, I like Dice because I've talked to him.
Yeah.
And as a person, I got certain impressions out of conversation.
I have issues with Dice because you refuse to talk about music and punk rock libertarians, and it's just not a way to win me over. Pretend you don't like music. What the hell kind of person are you?
I tried to ask him about music too, and he wouldn't go there.
I know, I saw, and that's why I'm gonna always have issues with him.
But I do think what was interesting about Deist was you could tell that he's a very serious man, but he's willing to have the conversation with people that he may not deem as serious as him, and I respect that.
Well, I think he's maybe, I don't know, let's see, he's less serious than you'd think, but I think he's just kind of a guy who's willing to have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
He had a very hopeful speech last night, which is why I say you really need to listen to it. He did a Q&A afterwards that was pretty good. Rechtenwald's speech was like bleak, very, very bleak. And I don't agree. Like, he's one of those people, like, I feel like he goes out of his way to fight like the Thaddeus Russells of the world. And I feel like neither one of them is getting the whole picture all that right.
That is something I've
big
noticed.
Things. And
like, I don't know much about Rechtenwald, but that is something that I've noticed. Like, I enjoyed talking to Thaddeus Russell, but it seemed to me that he had limited his own view of reality in some sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So
when you think you're right about everything, that is very limiting because you don't know that you don't know things.
Well, you see, and he gives himself the beautiful out, since he doesn't think that anything, I think that there is a reality, then you can always be right about it.
Right.
That's weird. If you're always right about that, means you're always wrong about it too, because it's not real. It's weird. I mean, you're already making a truth claim on. Fuck.
Said we weren't going to do it.
The basis of your entire philosophy requires a truth claim when your truth claim is there are no truth claims.
Well, see, here's my issue. Is I am very interested in the concept of postmodernism, but I haven't had a deep discussion with someone outside of the people who, when you're talking about postmodernism, they'll point to the fucking table and be like, how do we know this is actually a table? And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not having this conversation. I hate that.
That's not a
conversation.
question. See, that's not the real postmodernist. To me, that's not the real postmodernist question.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
I
have had between 9 and 15 conversations with people who talk about the fucking table.
But hold on, Nick. What were you saying is the postmodernist question?
What is the table to me? What is the table to you? What are the representations in our own minds that make sense?
It's epistemology.
It's the basis of human communication. That is, which was also part of Dice speech. He's talking about people using words and changing words and fucking with words. Like, how about this? When I say the word dog to you and Cam, I can guarantee the image that you both have is very different. There's going to be some base characteristics they're going to share.
Wishbone. 100% thought about Wishbone.
Thought about my dog.
Well, so right there.
Right.
Just the fucking word dog. And you both had very different images in your head. So you have a sense of dogness that's mixed in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very concrete thing to think about, dogness.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when I say happiness?
Penis.
How wildly divergent do you think your fucking views on that abstract concept are?
Right.
The simple fact that human beings can communicate at all is amazing. And I think we don't take into account that everything that we do is from our own very particular point of view.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be miscommunications because of that. And I think that's what the whole postmodernist thing brings to the table, is that you really need to focus on the fact that agreement is a very difficult thing to reach. And even when you think you have agreement, you probably really don't have agreement. Mm-hmm. And so it requires a lot of dealing with people to really, really, get along in the world. And I think, especially for libertarians, I mean, the bottom line is we tend to live in a different world than most other people live in. None of us, like when you say government to a lot of people, they see something very, very different than what we see in our heads. And you need to be able to grapple with it, because both of those conceptions is real as fucking concrete to both of us.
Right.
And I think that, well, you'll have the Rectenwalds of the world that I think we're playing language games. Well, I'm sorry, language games are a big fucking deal, because that's how your brains work. They go and make concrete physiological structures in your head based on your word games. Now, granted, I came to anarchism initially through Chomsky, so word games is kind of like what I used to play around in. I those are the philosophical waters that I come from.
Well, you say that, and that's what's one of the. I need to mention this before I forget, but one of the things that Malice always gives as advice to parents is that he was born in Ukraine, and so he learned Russian early on, but that there are a lot of phrases that are used by the cathedral, by the corporate press, by people who wish to change your mind, that would not make any coherent sense if you spoke more than one language, because it only makes sense in the singular language with which they're trying to manipulate you. I think that's a good point. I only speak one language, but I try my best to listen to people.
I only speak the one language, but I also have made it like language itself, and in particular, the philosophy of language has always been something I've been deeply interested in. So, I've spent a long time getting way deep into linguistics. And
what's
so
one of
I
my favorite things
understand it
about?
from like the psychological level of what language actually is.
Well, it's anarchic by nature.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's nothing more anarchic in the most positive sense than language.
Yeah.
Because it's completely made up by everyone and completely like we all come to a consensus that is both shared and disagreed upon in real time, and somehow manage to make that shit allow cooperation of people wildly divergent.
Well, and that's what makes people like, I would say that I believe in objective reality. I would say that, but I'm not an objectivist. I'm not Randian. And so I think that there is something we can point to that, like, a table's a fucking table. Like, let's make it that simple.
Well,
but
you want to throw some mud here? How about this? And this is like an issue I have with objectivism and that kind of speed. So I don't know how many of you guys listen to He Who Shall Not Be Named's podcast. He has this fellow Matt on his show who's definitely had some strange turns in his reasoning in the past year, we'll say. And one of the frustrating things that I come to is that, and I see this more and more, and it's the Machiavellian position, is that they tend to think of things as existing always the way that they have seemed to exist forever. And I do not believe that this is because I'm a leftist. I don't believe that they have to necessarily exist. Now I'm saying changing things too fast is going to create a pendulum swing. We don't want that. But to say that humanity has to be the way it always has been is a problem for me.
Right.
Mhm.
Imagine that we're not capable of evolving and growing.
Right.
This
I
is
would,
also
I
the
would
same-
disagree with that thought.
This is also the same thing that frustrates me with what's his name there, Mance's buddy Vin, because they, in an effort to, I guess, not lose, they make a choice to play the same games as the people in power.
Okay.
And I've always looked at the whole libertarian ideal and like voluntarism as being a moral choice.
Yeah.
And the idea being, look, I don't choose this because it's going to fucking win, because it probably won't.
It's moral.
Because it's right.
I agree with you.
If we want to fucking win, then why are you even giving a shit about this? Just go and make the choice that's going to win. Go become a part of the machine. Your morals won't matter then. And it's just been frustrating watching people kind of give into that to do the more Machiavellian thing and follow the Machiavellian.
Doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
It's just frustrating. And Vin does it in a sense that, like, we're personally, my end goal is I want to see people giving up all of their rulers, all of their kings, which I know you two are Christians and you see this very differently than I do. But to me,
up to a point,
to me, that's just another king that I want people to give up on. I want them to realize that they don't need to be ruled by anyone, even some magic guy in the sky. And when I see him pushing people towards mystical things, it's backpedaling to me. Especially in a community who's moved so far to give up on kings. But in the same vein, like I understand this position, and I realize that my bias is towards not having that. So
well, and that's a person that is interesting to me in some sense, but a lot of the followers of Vin Armani have been people who talk about magic. And they're using these phraseology. Like, one guy legitimately was like, this person is a real wizard. And I'm like, you're talking in these kind of esoteric above ways when what you're talking about is morality and story. Yeah. If you could just say it, if you could just fucking say what you're talking about, I understand what the theatricality is, but people respond to story and morality. That's what I responded to. That's what you just said. I don't know. You didn't say story, but morality. That's what you responded to. Why are we not having those conversations?
Well, and so here's another thing that, like, and this is one of those things that Tom Woods kind of always brings up, and it's part of, like, especially been apparent in the whole COVID situation, is that, like, if you're to have a beef with the left, their desire to remove magic from the world is that's the thing that makes it suck. I don't want to live in a fucking world without some kind of magic in the same vein. Like, as well, I criticize Vin for this. The idea of not having art, and art doesn't exist without conflict. Art doesn't exist without, you know, the beauty of what happens between the cracks.
Right.
Like, why is Romeo and Juliet a beautiful story? Because of the conflict of the things that happen, humans overcoming adversity, humans losing to their own
and human
humanness.
stupidity.
Yes. And so it feels as though the left wants to take us to you know, a world where story is unnecessary, it's irrelevant, and that is a sad fucking world.
It is, and I agree with you. And that's that. I just, that has been one of my points, is because people try to make this esoteric when we could be talking about story and conflict and overcoming and power. And it bums me out because there are a lot of people who are going to write you off, or if you're trying to use magic as a weapon, it bums me out. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, it should be bummed out, because I mean, I feel like that's the overall thrust of where we're headed as human beings, and I think that that's on purpose. I think that the people in charge want us to not have story. They want us to not have a beautiful world to live in. They want us to be cattle.
Yeah.
So take away all the beauty. There's no need for that. We're gonna grind you up and feed you to the bugs that we're gonna feed to everybody.
The Soylent Green.
And it's not Soylent Green. I mean, that's literally their plan.
Right.
There's a
I've seen those.
Swedish scientist who, like, recommended us just eating people.
Ugh.
And this was like an actual PhD academic paper that was put out there. Someone actually said this.
It's insane. The world we live in is insane.
The truth is always stranger than fiction. Please remember that.
Yeah, I think there's so much beauty and so much story and so much morality to talk about that's missed.
Just put the video from American Beauty up in the bag while Cam is giving the speech.
But I was just gonna say, we are nearing 2 hours, and we do this every time with you. There's no chance that we're less than 2 hours with Nick Pecone.
I can just talk too much. It's a problem.
Well, it's not that you're talking too much; it's that we enjoy talking to you,
well,
and
I'm
so
glad.
it's a good time. But we should wrap it up because I think people probably checked out because people are beings that don't like to sit and listen. You know, probably 30 minutes ago, if at best. But I did want to say, you know, if you want to find the things that Nick is up to, nickpecone.com is a good resource for that.
The best resource for that.
If you're not listening to Nick and his beautiful, wonderful wife, Lizzie, on Peace Freaks, that's on every podcatcher, as far as I know. You should be. And then, like I said earlier, you are going to be playing music at Childerberg on this Saturday?
Not this Saturday. I think it's like 2 weeks from now. It's actual Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, folks, from everything I'm hearing, the names I've talked to of people that are going to be at this thing, if you're waffling on the fence, I'd say just come on over to the other side of the fence, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, no more fencers. I haven't talked to Eric about this, but it was recommended by my good buddies running the event, Jacob in particular, that maybe me and Eric should be doing a live recording of Anarchy in Space while we're there. So I'm going to talk Eric into doing some sci-fi, Anarchy and Sci-Fi talk by the campfire and recording it while we're out there.
That sounds like fun.
So that'd be fun. Me and Liz are both going to be there with Irma. So who
She's
knows?
wearing that shirt, right?
I plan on it. She got it today. I'm excited to get her on it. Cam's like, "Can I get you a shirt? I want to get you a shirt." And I'm like, "Cam, it's just way too expensive to buy a shirt in my size. Don't worry about it. It'll do much better if you put it on my wife anyways. I promise her tits will fill it out better than mine will. Like mine look like libertarian man titties. Hers look like sexy black lady titties. And that's really what people want.
They are good, clean, agorist titties, okay? Don't you forget
it. Nick, is there anything else that you're doing right now that you want to tell people about?
That's it for right now. We're kind of dealing with some life situations, so there's not a whole lot of things going on right now. But we're still plugging along and happy to be part of the community that we're a part of.
Hey, I'm happy you're around. I was happy to see your name on Twitter today, and because that's where I am now.
I'm staying off Twitter, mind you. I'm really just there so that like I can communicate with people. There's so many people that only talk on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
that's me essentially.
I gave it like 6 months of not having it. I don't need Twitter itself, but I definitely need the messenger of Twitter to talk to people. Because there's people I lost communication with. I really wish I didn't lose communication with not having it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just treating it like I do Facebook. Like, yeah, if there's a Facebook page there, I'm never on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I'll use the messenger to talk to people I want to talk to.
But beyond that, I do have a stupid video for us.
Nice.
I found. But I did want to let people know that Wednesday we're going to have Mr. Brad Binkley back, who is also a good time. I have to applaud Jessica for Friend Month because we've had the best people on, and this is going to we end up with Dent, but it's going to be a hell of a fun month. I've had fun so far. I was like, got to get Nick on, and I'm very happy that I did. After Brad, we have Jeremy Kaufman coming on, then followed by Dent, and then starting June, we have Miss Natalie Danelishan coming on the show. So apparently
don't even know who that is. So nice.
Well, she's apparently the one who turned Rob Schneider into Mises Reader because of boobies.
She's like the blonde bombshell of the Mises Institute. So yeah,
that's a thing.
Yeah,
apparently
she made it. She made it a thing.
Okay, I'll take that.
So before we reach our video, one, if you want to find me on Twitter, that's where I am at Cam Harless. That's also where Jessica is at Soup Canarchist. We are killing our locals. I don't see the point of it. And we are moving to something new soon that we're very excited about, but I won't tell you about it until we're actually live. Beyond that, we have some shirts. If you want to listen to the show, we are themadOnes.com or mlganetwork.com. If you want to watch it, which I think you should because that's where all the fun happens, youtube.com/themadOnes, or you can find us on Odyssey by just searching The Mad Ones. If you want coffee, get it from lorenzati.coffee with promo code The Mad Ones. It's good coffee. Nick needs to buy some coffee, or we need to send Nick some coffee. Either way. If you want some software solutions, websites, whatever, if you want me to work on some video stuff for you, go to burgetdev.net and make Ryan pay me. OPSEC Drip, the best podcast you can listen to, where a man wears a shamag, reads a newspaper, and tells you what's going on in the world. 60 seconds of your time every day. Good guy. Pilar Petrie is easily become one of my best friends on Twitter, and you should check out his short thing. If you want, I don't mean his penis. I'm sure his penis is finely sized. If you want a microphone, zenproaudio.com. Dent furnished me with this one, and I keep getting people keep telling me how good my sound is. So I'm happy with it. But with that, I have a video. It's a video from a local news channel. You may have seen this. I hope you haven't, Jessica, because you seem to not see anything that I mentioned. But it's a beautiful video of there was a crime that was committed, and the sketch artist did such a great job. If you haven't seen this is a fun one.
Just in, police officers in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, were asking people to be on the lookout for a man who robbed a store. And I think we do We do
This
have
is
his
real.
description. Can we take that? Let's take his description.
Look at his face.
Okay. This is the guy
It's
they
a real
wanted
sketch.
people in Pennsylvania to be out on the lookout for. He's got a nose and some hair that goes like that, and he was wearing a hat at the time of this particular.
It's Jason
crime.
Mraz.
He's got kind of a chin that comes down to a.
Jason
almost
Mraz
a
committed
point.
the crime.
Stands about 5 feet 4 inches tall.
There we go,
little.
Jason
There it
Mraz,
is.
right there.
Get a good look for yourself. Oh, and now I'm getting word that police actually caught this guy, thanks to the sketch, no doubt. So here's a picture of the real guy next to the sketch that led to his arrest.
That is
It's uncanny.
Unreal.
Wildly accurate.
The guy on the left is now charged with 2 counts of theft. Is being held in the Lancaster jail. And I say, give that sketch artist a raise.
This wouldn't be so funny, except it's a real sketch.
That was actually the sketch that the police sent out
Accurate.
to the good folks in Lancaster.
wow.
I love it.
Oh dear.
It's so poorly drawn, but it's so perfect.
It's so accurate.
Oh,
Well, dude, it does what the picture needs to do. It needs to capture the essence of somebody.
yep.
And
Got him.
apparently, like whoever described this guy to the person, like described it perfect.
T.
Like you
Yeah.
got the essence of the guy in that picture. You're like, it does not that much has to be there, but you get it. Like, oh my god, that's fucking him. You see him together, and it's like, wow. She's right. That guy doesn't get paid enough to do that little work and really nail it. Like, that's amazing.
It was incredible, and I love it. And also, I love you. So thank you for coming back on the show. We're gonna do it again. Obviously, I have fun every time.
Well, apparently
like
we
I
have
said-
a horror movie to talk about.
We do. Which? Oh, by the way, you didn't say which horror movie you pick.
I
let's do
actually I went on it before. I told you guys before the episode. It's a fun one. Is why I'm choosing it. But it's Stay Alive, and it's extra fun because it's Frankie Muniz back when he was still an actor.
So 2000 era.
Awesome.
And if you guys want to go down a rabbit hole, go find out what happened to Frankie Muniz.
Dude, that's something else.
It's
That's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
It's a story.
So, like I said, thank you for coming on the show. We love you. And
And we love you
yeah.
in the royalist sense.
So with that, dear audience, the apple of my eye, be the glitch you want to see in Matrix.